Alrighty, what's going on everybody? Ninja Star here, and today we are back at it again with our One Piece video for you all. Now, today's One Piece video is going to be talking about a new One Piece anime episode that just came out yesterday as the time I'm recording this, and it wasn't just any, regular episode of One Piece. As you all know, I don't do One Piece anime reviews just because, many people read the manga anyways, and I just feel like it gets repetitive. I'm not, really, consistently reviewing type guy. Now, I do review the specials, like the One Piece episode of East Blue. I reviewed that, but I figured, you know what, why not just review this 1 hour special, as they like to call it. And this 1 hour special aired yesterday. It was a One Piece 1 hour special. It correlated with the current storyline, and it was One Piece, a heartbreaking duel, Luffy vs. Sanji, part 1 and part 2. Now, I know many of you already saw this, and I'm going to be giving my thoughts here, and this is going to be spoiler-ish, so to speak. So before I go any further, just be warned for spoilers. I would say go watch the whole thing, but I'm gonna be honest though, don't watch the whole thing. Okay. So if you're watching it on Crunchyroll or Funimation Now or wherever you're watching it, it's going to say Luffy vs. Sanji part 1 and part 2. Do not watch part 1 if you don't want to waste your time. Okay, watch part 2. Part 2 actually gets to the good material. Part 1, I'll get into why part 1 is so bad, but part 2, watch part 2, and then come back to this video. So, first of all, let's just talk about, part 1, because that's where it started. We were immediately greeted with the new One Piece opening, and even though, I'd already saw this because of leaks and everything like that, this new One Piece opening, I like it a lot more than Weekend, because Weekend was just annoying, it was repetitive. I just didn't like Weekend, but luckily we have this new one that's going to stick with us probably for the rest of Whole Cake Island. Who knows, they might change it, but whatever. I'm excited for it. I really liked it. The first time I heard it, I didn't like it, but after hearing it a few more times, I'm like, yeah, I'm really digging this. So after we were greeted with that awesome new opening, we were entered with some flashback type stuff, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is alright. I get that they're trying to build tension and everything like that, but it gets to a point where you have too much flashbacks to the point where it feels like Studio Perry is doing this or something. The group that did Naruto and Naruto Shippuden, a lot of people are getting on Naruto for its fillers, for its constant episode long flashbacks, and One Piece hasn't really had that until part 1, and part 1 was a complete waste of time. All it did was do flashbacks. Now, there was a few scenes here and there where it transitioned to the present, and it showed Luffy getting on the carriage, and then Sanji just who are you again, and then just kicks Luffy out, and then he gave that speech, and that was definitely something. And then transitioned to some more flashbacks, and let me tell you, guess how many eye catches were in this episode? Guess. There were 3 eye catch breaks in this entire 23-minute episode. Alright, so the average One Piece anime episode gets one eye catch in the middle, one the whole bird thing, a commercial break, then a bird thing again. I kind of count that as one eye catch, but this time it had one at maybe the 8-minute mark, which is here and there for some episode. For the most part, doesn't happen that often. And then right after that, at the 11-minute mark, we were greeted with another eye catch, and I was just watching this, I'm like, okay, what the heck? This doesn't make any sense. And then after that, I'm like, okay, this can't get any worse. A few minutes later, boom, another eye catch, and I was just like, are you serious, Toei? You're really trying to drag this out to 1 hour, aren't you? Now, of course, I was watching it on Crunchyroll, no ads, so I had it a little easier. But imagine for someone who is watching it live on Fuji TV or something like that, they're gonna be like, okay, this is getting ridiculous. I'm not even following what's going on right now. This is just flashbacks, and there's way too many commercial breaks. So that's kind of what it came down to. And guys, I don't know if I said this before at the beginning of this video. I hate to get too off topic, but I'm sick, but I still wanted to record this video because I just want to get my thoughts out here, because I was really excited to review it. And don't get me wrong, I'm really excited to review part 2, but part 1, not that fun to talk about. But overall, I still want to get my thoughts out here to you guys. Back to the topic though. Yeah, part 1 was a complete waste of time, bro. Everything, it accomplished nothing. And you could argue okay, yeah, no, it showed the introduction and built tensions up. Well, you are true in that part, when you transition to part two is just so much better than part one. You know, we get that opening. We don't even get I don't even think we get a recap. We do get another flashback, but it's not as like dragged on as part one. And that's why I say you don't need to watch part one, because you know why? Part 2 redid Luffy's entire introduction, like, you know, where he goes onto the carriage, Sanji kicks him, and then Sanji gives that speech. So then, what was the point of part 1? I don't know. They just dragged that on way too much. And the thing is about part 2, it still had those 3 eye catches. But the thing is, you know, it was like, okay, it was new material for the most part, so it's whatever. Yeah, so the flashbacks definitely did kind of ruin a lot of the special, and I feel like Toei just wanted to drag this out to the 1 hour mark, just, you know, promote it along with Dragon Ball Super and everything, and I hope Dragon Ball Super is better than One Piece this week, you know. Onto what actually made this special very good. It was the actual Luffy versus Sanji in part 2. Now, it was towards, like, the middle, towards the endish, I don't know, something like that. And, wow, this is where you can tell Toei's putting in the work for this One Piece special, or One Piece I'm just gonna call it One Piece episode, you know, because it was really just one episode of new material, and Toei was putting in the work. Every single kick that Sanji put against Luffy was just brutal, you know. I'm happy they didn't censor this at all. It felt very accurate to the manga. And so much so that I even got a little emotional, you know, when I was watching it for the first time. Because the thing is I don't get as emotional reading as I do watching it. But even when I was reading it, I choked up a little bit. And to see the anime also be able to do that to me, you know, it was definitely something else. And I was very, very impressed with how Toei did it. The voice acting was also on point. Mayumi Tanaka, just like her speech at the very end where Luffy's like, Sanji, I'm not moving an inch from this spot until you serve me food. I'll only eat food that's yours, and without you, I can't become king of the pirates. And that was powerful. That was so powerful. And it was tough to watch just because it was so emotional, so well done, everything on that. And it was so good. It correlated so well. It fit the music. Like, I noticed, I don't think this music track has ever been used. It was New World OST, and I really like it. It fit that perfectly. And overall, it was just so greatly done. And you could see, you know, the blood on Luffy's face, the fiery Sanji's fiery kick just hitting Luffy one by one. Luffy doesn't even... okay, listen. I was worried, and I was reacting to this with someone else, a friend of mine, Yonko Sage. Check him out. We were worried, like, oh my gosh, is Toei gonna screw this up and make Luffy fight back? Because remember, in Punk Hazard, they screwed up Luffy quite a bit. Because remember, Luffy in the manga just one-shotted Caesar with an elephant gun. In the anime, he struggled, and Caesar isn't supposed to be powerful, so Toei really screwed that scene up. But we were worried, like, oh my gosh, is Toei gonna screw this up? Nope. Luffy did not fight back, and that's one of the biggest redeeming factors of the fight. And I mean, you can't really call it a fight, it's just Sanji beating up Luffy, but whatever. You know, Toei advertised it as is, and it was definitely enjoyable to watch. It was so emotional. Nami's voice actor was putting in the work too. Sanji's voice actor, oh my gosh, everything about this episode, everything. Like, in part 2, I should say. Yeah, I'm calling it an episode, not special anymore. It's funny. Everything about it was so good. I cannot stress it enough. And if you haven't watched it and yet you're somehow watching my review, what are you doing? Go watch it on Crunchyroll. Please do. Please, please, please. Watch it on Crunchyroll. Thank you so much. Yeah. So after all that, you know, the whole Sanji beating up Luffy. Luffy's on the ground. Blood everywhere and stuff. And Toei also added in a few extra fillers I noticed. With Luffy's skull, it showed like a little crack of Luffy's skull, and I'm like, oh my gosh. They also did the whole tooth thing, Luffy's tooth coming out, blood, everything on that. Oh my gosh. You could feel the realistic impact of it. And I know some people may complain like, okay, the kicks were a little bit too dragged on, but think about it, you know, like, this is the anime. It has to add some extra material to keep an episode going and everything on that. And I thought, you know, it was fine. It did feel a little repetitive, not gonna lie, but it wasn't overly too distracting. But, yeah, it ended. By the time we thought, okay, yeah, this is starting to get repetitive, then it immediately transitioned. So I'm like, okay, yeah, you saved yourself there, Toei. But yeah, like, one major gripe I had about part 2, though, is, Nami's slap to Sanji. Like I said, Nami's voice actor really did put in the work, but I felt like the slap, when she slaps Sanji right after he beats up Luffy, was just, meh. It just felt, it didn't feel that much of an impact. She just, like, She did slap him, and it did cause a little bit of a mark, but it wasn't anything too crazy. And I love that in the manga she said Lord Sanji or something like that, to show, like, you know, you're not part of the crew, you're your own prince, get out of here, you're not wanted, you know. That was definitely something, and I felt like, you know, the voice actor could have made that even better than the manga. But the thing is, you know, with the storyboarding, they just didn't do that. I wasn't a big fan of it. The slap didn't have as much of the impact, but you know what? It wasn't too distracting, because afterwards, you know, we saw that whole Luffy speech where he's like, without you, I can't become king of the pirates. And I already talked about it earlier, where Mayumi Tanaka was just putting in the work for it and everything like that. So that goes to show, you know, that why do we even call it a special? All right. So overall, though, as oh my gosh, I completely forgot the ending. All right, they actually showed an ending theme for this for the end of episode 808, because you guys remember, you know, One Piece endings if you watch the anime, you know, they were like after like the 1 minute openings and then the decently paced episode, they showed the endings, like the usually like 1 minute endings and then preview, everything like that. It was well paced there. And now we get like 2 minute openings, no endings, and then a preview. But now and I noticed it was a little weird, because on Crunchyroll times, on the Crunchyroll like timestamp, it said 26 minutes. So I'm like, huh, they might be saving something. And what do you know? They certainly did. They showed ending one. Ending one, the very first ending, the dee da 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 da. Okay, let me stop right there. You guys get what I meant. But they showed ending one, and just flashbacks between Sanji, Luffy, the entire Straw Hat crew, and overall, I was just so impressed. With 808, 807 was extremely disappointing, but overall, I give this special a 6 out of 10. Special. All right, this isn't even that much of a special. Like, if you just base it based on those 2 episodes, like put together, then yeah, it's a 6 out of 10. But if you base it just off of 808, then it's like a solid 8.5 out of 10. And then, you know, freaking, what do you call it? Like episode 807 is just pretty poorly done. I can't even rate it. Just filler, unnecessary flashbacks. You could argue it did build up tension, but I feel like if you've been following One Piece for long enough, you already kind of have an idea. You don't need a refresher. And as someone who already watched episode of East Blue and watched episode 801, which like recaps Sanji's flashback already, this just felt very forced, shoehorned in, everything like that. Overall, though, did you guys see the special? Did you guys, you know, have you not seen the special? If so, if you have seen the special, give your thoughts in the comment section down below. Would like to hear your thoughts. Are you a little more positive than I am towards 807? I really can't think of a whole reason. But regardless, though, this overall special was hit and miss. And yeah, you know what? I'm not mad that I watched it. I'm not mad. I'm just a little disappointed, but overall, you know what? It is what it is. Now we can start moving, and oh my gosh, opening 20. I'm probably going to listen to that again. But yeah. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. And Ninja out. Peace, everybody. And oh my gosh, my voice is still okay, because yesterday my voice was completely lost, and then now it's sort of coming back. So sorry you guys had to put up with like my sick voice, but it should be better by like the next video or something. Peace.